Welcome, everybody, to a special episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Alex, the Salty Nerd, and I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. We got Dutch Butters here. What's up, dude?
Hey, here we are.
Here we are, man.
Man,
my heart's racing.
I'm kind of flummoxed.
And the scotch is hitting me hard right now.
Scotch is hitting me a little bit hard.
Yeah.
I always get a little freaked out when we have people we've watched on the big screen.
As many times as I do this, I don't get used to it.
It's like he's never been in a show I hated.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Jude is also here. What's
Hello.
up? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Awesome. And the producer of the show, the Magic Man himself, Matthew Kadish. What's up, dude?
I am very excited about this interview. It's not every day we get to interview the Big Lebowski.
That's right. That's right. The dude himself, Kieran Bew. What's up, sir? How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's late here in Britain, so I am in a bathrobe.
Yes. Yes.
Kieran is living his best life.
He's living his best. He showed up when we first started behind the camera. He showed up with a popsicle, a mug, and a bathrobe. And I was like, this is going to be fucking awesome.
I really, in my head right now, and don't even correct me if I'm wrong, but in my head right now, in that mug he's sipping from is a White Russian.
Of course. It must be.
And he's wearing Crocs.
All right.
I
So
hate to bust it, but it's a lemon and ginger tea.
That sounds good.
That's very British of you. All right. So you guys might know him as Hugh the Hammer from season 2 of House of the Dragons, but we here at the Salty Nerd Podcast know and love him from Warrior as Big Bill.
Big
and
Bill
I am
O'Hara.
Big Bill O'Hara, and I am very, very excited. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night to chat with us nerds over here. Even though at times we lambaste and make fun of literally everything,
That's what we do.
it's always nice to have an actor who comes in with a thick skin and says, "You guys are all right. Let's talk." It's tough to
He
find.
hasn't said it yet.
He hasn't said it yet.
But he did agree to come in.
Yes.
So thank you.
So thank you very much. So I wanted to start out by talking about one of our favorite shows, Warrior. It's by far the best kung fu fighting drama crime show that I've watched in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if there's another show like it in that aspect when it comes to the fighting and stuff like that. And your character, Big Bill, has such an amazing presence in that show. And I've always wanted to know, is there a historical character that you based him off of? Or is it purely just you rolling into, okay, who is this guy? He's an Irish cop living in San Francisco. He's a little bit dirty, but he's got morals. Like, how did you build out that character?
Well, first of all, the script was brilliant. And I think I had 6 scripts, which is quite unusual. You know, for a 10-episode season, I think I had 4 or bits of 2 others. So I had quite a lot of Bill's arc, and he was really well written by Jonathan and the guys. I don't know if you remember season 1 in like real detail, but I got a lot of screen time in those first 4 episodes, and culminating in episode 4 with a sort of little gambling short film at the beginning of the episode, and you know, the detail in there of who the guy really was underneath all of these different facets, like the fronts that he puts on, the one as the cop, the one at home with his wife, the one with the Irish gangster, the one with the Chinese gangsters. It was like, I don't think I'd ever been given a role that had so much, you know, was so well rounded on the page like that. I didn't really need to do much more than just work on what they gave me, but I did feel the pressure, so I did do quite a lot of work myself on other things just to bolster it, because stepping on these shows, you know, when it was that well written, I just didn't want to fuck it up. It was too good. I mean, the one thing I knew about him was he's got to be charming. Like, if I don't nail the kind of dry wit and that slightly sardonic gallows humor, then he's not going to work, because he's going to do some really shitty things. He's going to make some bad decisions, and people could see him as I guess, as a bit of a loser. But Jonathan Tropper's got a knack for writing really cunning characters and great one-liners, and he just gave me a gift. So yeah.
One of my favorite things about Bill's character is his relationship with his wife. His wife was one of my favorite characters on the show, and the dynamic between them and how much of a team they were until they weren't, and Bill's desire to to get back what he lost in that relationship with her was one of my favorite things about the show.
Yeah, and that was, you know, I had no idea we were going to go that direction with it by season 3.
Bill just popping babies and Lucy Constant.
Lucy is the unsung hero of that show.
A strong woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think forget, you'll have to correct me, but are we the only marriage in the show?
No, Penelope. We're the only good marriage in the show.
Yeah, the only good one.
Yeah, Penelope and Mayor Blake.
Knocked over his computer or something. I think I might leave that in. That's hilarious.
He's fucking up your yucca plans. You can leave that in. I think it might be the only marriage in the show. I think we might be the only family in the show, like with kids and that domesticity. Again, I just thought that was a massive gift because as soon as I knew I had the kids and the family, I've got a lot to lose, so the stakes are high.
Yeah,
and there was inevitability
Father June and
that.
young June were quite the family.
That's a different family.
That is a whole different dynamic.
No, you're right. I just having little kids. As soon as I saw those little kids in this world with the script they'd given us, I thought, oh fuck, it's going to get really dark, you know. And it did. And building that was really fun because right off the bat, the guys said, like, Lonnie Peristeer came in. We did the pilot in like 2017 with Asaf directing, and when we came back, Lonnie Peristeer came in and did the first 2 episodes, and he said to me straight away, like, is there a detail in the show or in the house that's important to you? Like, what do you think about Bill's family? And, you know, for instance, he's an Irish, they're a tight Irish family, so is he Irish, is he Catholic or Protestant, what is he? And I said, well, I sort of read him as Catholic. I was brought up Catholic, so the house would have palm crosses and all this detail around there. Like, that's the kind of level of detail we were talking about. Putting underneath everybody, and every actor on the show had those conversations. So there's lots of detail in the show that we all care about that no one else may ever see, but it gives us a little foundation and something to live with, and gives us a few more roots. So that house was really familiar, and it was fun. And I'm used to, you know, I'm an uncle. I've got loads of nieces and nephews. I'm used to wrangling kids. It was great. It was great shooting those scenes, knowing that's just going to up the stakes of anything else we do. Plus, Bill's going to constantly have to walk in and hide what he's done.
Yeah,
he's just.
I think one of my favorite scenes in Warrior season 1 was right after, like, your character brings in all these guys to basically like kill Andrew Koji's character, Awesome, in the prison cell. And then he comes back in and he sees that basically like all these guys just got laid out. And that's the first time Bill kind of recognizes that this isn't like your average kind of like Chinaman criminal. Yeah. And I was wondering, like, you know, that your reactions in that scene upon walking in and just like seeing all those guys like beaten up and Andrew Koji's just like sitting there like, what's up? What was so like visceral almost when I was watching it. What was your relationship with Andrew like while filming?
I never really saw Andrew. No, I mean, I'd bump into him at training, but he's very sort of like, you know, for Andrew as the number one, with the amount of fighting that he had to do, he's training and looking after his body and learning choreography all the time. Plus, he's a really hard worker, so he's intensely like worried and worrying and concerned and working on the stuff that's coming up, and that's and then so if you're not fighting or doing scenes together, then we're all kind of spinning in our own little worlds. But Brett, you know, the head of our stunt team, he created this great green room where everyone was working out in the same space, so we would always kind of interact and meet up there and have these like chats. I think Andrew and I, our relationship is very much like Bill and our Sam, really. We'd sort of meet up and have these chats, catch up, have a little check with each other, and then go off again.
Yeah.
And I love that scene in the first season because it's really an awful scene, because it's, you know, Bill only really sees him as a human when he knows he can speak English. You know, it's he's showing his prejudices there, and it's showing the darkness of the world and the assumptions and the aloofness and the cynicism that Bill's developed as a cop. But it was also really important scene that you probably don't remember, but I take the Irish guys down under duress. Really, I do it at the behest of Leary, and then I go away. And in the script, it was written that I go away and I'm smoking upstairs, and then Bill has a change of conscience and he runs down the stairs to stop it.
Oh,
and when I get there, he's kicked fuck out of them all. So I'm shocked. Now that is what happens in the show, and it's the me smoking is a very, very small moment, and it was one of the moments that I think it was going to get cut because we were just so tight on time, and I argued for it. I just said to the guys, I just think it's important, and the reason I think it's important is if you don't show that, you're not showing the moral character of Bill, because if you show it, you think he's doing something under pressure, but he knows it's wrong, and he's willing to go against Leary. He makes a decision, fuck it, I'm going to go and I'm going to stop it, which means I'm going to carry that. And if you don't see that, then you don't see that. So again, the characters you see in the shows that we make, you only get to see the decisions they make when they put the camera on you.
Yeah.
So you could say, is this a good person or a bad person? Well, if you don't see the character make the decision, then you don't know. And like, so that I'm always trying to find those moments in scripts where we're giving the audience that information, and then you can decide, he's a loser, or he's a bad person, or I can understand that. And I think someone making a bad decision, if you can understand it, you'll go with them and you'll cringe. You'll go, I do understand why he did it, but you fucking idiot. And then you're in with the drama and the pressure, and then you're watching the show. And if you don't have that moment, then you're like,
I think that's why everybody really likes Bill.
Yeah.
As a character so much, because he's a normal dude. He makes bad decisions.
But you're always rooting for him.
But you're always rooting for him, and you know he's going to make in the end he's going to make it right.
Yeah.
As best as he can.
So
and that's a gift that they gave as well, with having Tom next to me, with playing Lee, being sort of moral and pointing things out, and doing it in a slightly stiff way that I can poke fun at.
Are you referring to Big Dick Lee?
Big Dick Lee.
I'm not going to say that.
So that leads into my question. Who has... No, I'm kidding. I was curious
There's no showers. There's no in the stunt tent. I'm going to just burst that bubble for you now.
On a show where everyone's constantly measuring their dicks. So I was curious who your work wife / work bestie is on set.
Well, it's obviously Tom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we spend so much time together in that double act, and we met on the plane flying out there. We both had the same agent. We'd never met before that. We did have mutual friends, but I just think the sort of dynamic immediately, like it was just there, and he's such a hard worker, and he's such a conscientious guy. Like Tom has this way of learning lines where he writes out his own version of it in like little patterns and pictures and all sorts of stuff. It's really fascinating.
Whoa. Oh wow!
And he really cares about what he's doing. And when we first sat down on set, he's doing his old-fashioned Southern accent thing, which he'd discovered and worked on something. And I'd been working on a show called Relic, which was a weird show here in Britain. I say weird because it goes back in time like Memento. And when we started the show, it was episode 1, but it was the end of the story. But we didn't have any scripts, so we didn't really know what the fuck was going on, and still don't. But the lead in that was a guy called Richard Dormer, who's got a wonderful Irish accent. And I just listened to him chatting at work. And so when I slightly based Bill on this actor. Richard Dormer is in Game of Thrones. He plays the dude with the flaming sword, and he's just a fantastic actor.
Oh, nice. Oh, right on.
Yeah, and his natural accent is just gorgeous. And so I was like, I think I'm going to put Bill somewhere near Richard. And so we were both working really hard, and then having to come together. But then we loved dicking about and doing impressions and stuff, and we'd be messing about before a scene, and I'd be like, oh, fucking hell, what am I doing again? what accent am I doing again? Like, I mean, once we got into it, we didn't even think twice about just clicking into the characters.
Yeah.
And and I could and I would love to play Bill with Lee, like I you know, forever. You know, Tropper used to be like, should we do a spin-off with you guys? I was like,
yes.
We talked about that all the time. Like the team up between O'Hara and Lee gave us like this buddy cop show that we didn't know that
Big
we
Bill
needed.
and Big Dick, you mean?
It was like Lethal Weapon, you know?
It would be a great spin-off.
Well, we had a thing in season 1 where there were 3 scenes we had on a day, and they were all set in the police station. And the police station was in the center of Cape Town at the old town hall where Nelson Mandela made his speech when he came out of Robben Island. And it's a really big historical building, and it's a beautiful place to film at. And the corridors are gorgeous, and it all exists. So there's like the police changing room, and then there's the police bullpen, and then there's the offices, and it all just existed there. So we had these 3 scenes, and we said, why don't we just run them together? Why are we going to do 3 scenes and set up and set up and set up? And they were like, oh, you can do that. And we were like, well, we've learned the lines, so why don't we try? So we did that. And Dale, who's Steadicam operator, who pretty much shot every episode of Warrior, is just brilliant, and we love him. And we you know, it's a bit of a dance when you work with a Steadicam operator, and you just sort of, it becomes like a sort of a second sense, or 7th sense, or whatever you want to say. We love him, so we just ran it, and they were like, oh, that's going to save us like half a day's filming. And I think because we saved them time, after that, when you see me and Tom in the police station, we used to call it West Winging it. We're going to West Wing it. We're just going to walk and talk. And we love it, because we're like, and I would be like, I'm going to add 10 props to this scene. I'm going to have can I have toast and a coffee and 3 cigarettes, and I'm going to fuck the whole thing up. And Dale's got to go around us. And I'm like, my fucking cigarette won't light. And we just want to, and we'd have a blast. And the whole thing's choreographed, and it's a bit like doing theater. And so is that what you mean by work wife?
Perfect. Since you brought up the discussion topic of like working with the cameraman on these intricate scenes and stuff like that, I'm always amazed at how well choreographed the fight scenes were in Warrior. And there was one in particular where you were involved with, I think it was the raid on the Fung Hai's main like headquarters.
The Fun Guys?
The Fun Guys. And that was such an intricate, crazy scene. There was so much going on. There was so much, bullets flying. There was probably like 20 or 30 extras with the cops versus the Fung Hai's. Can you kind of run me through, like, how do you set something like that up on set? What's your role in it? As I know you're not doing the Kung Fu fighting, but you were very much involved in the action in that scene. What's it like with prep time versus shooting?
Oh, man. I mean, so Warrior is completely unique in that the bosses give Brett such freedom to sort of rewrite what they've written. Jonathan Tropper would write in great detail what the fight sequences are, and then Brett will really do his own version of that, and then they'll check it all in with each other. They'll do pre-vises of them. So, and they do it with full Alexa cameras, so they know that whatever they choreograph will fit in the space that we're going to shoot on the day. And that's really to save money, but it also costs a lot of money, and you've got to convince a production team to give you those cameras and those cameramen and that time to just shoot previses. And a lot of other productions would never do that. I've never really known a production do it on the scale that Warrior does it. And just to speak ahead, Lonnie took that to House of Dragon when we did House of Dragon for episode 7. And we ran the rehearsal, and the guys were like, wow, this is really helpful. It's a long process, but because we all go in the morning, every morning, and train, do warm up, there's then a lot of time. Brett just schedules that and gets everyone in their individual pieces. And then when it comes together, like that sequence you're talking about, what you don't know about that sequence is when you're watching it, it's all cut up. But the sequence where I go through the door with the shotgun, that ran from me going in the door with a shotgun. And I can't remember what I said, but I think a lot of times you can't walk in the door with a massive gun and not say hello to my little friend a couple of times, or many other quotes that you come up with on the day. But the whole sequence ran from me going in the door to me picking up Chow off the ground, which is a big sequence.
Yeah.
So this is episode 5 of season 2. It's right in the middle, and it was directed by Lonnie Perister. And Lonnie based, just so you know, the whole beginning in the rain where we're outside and we're battering down the door and all that, and the police come in and file in. That wasn't in the script. That was like Lonnie's contrivance, because he was like, we're going to fucking Michael Mann it, guys. And of course, that's how we do chat on set. We basically reference every movie we ever loved and every performance we love, and all the films and the stuff that you guys talk about on your podcast. The kind of joy that you have is what we have, and we just play. And so we were... Lonnie's like, I'm going to film it from the top and it's going to be rain pouring down. It's going to look so fucking cool. Nice. And then Kieran, you're going to kick that down the door with a shotgun, and we're just like, whatever you say, boss.
Yeah, man.
Let's do it. Okay. And we ran that sequence about 18 times.
Wow.
Johnny would have it. I saw Johnny is Brett's right-hand man. I saw him last week in London. And if I asked Johnny, he could probably tell us. And we filmed it, and there's a lot of hits. So you've got to make sure as the camera's moving, the hits all work, the shots all work, the reactions all work, and the background is working. So there's one time where I fall on the ground and the gun slightly almost accidentally goes off and I shoot someone in the head. And that was a little homage to Out of Sight with the sort of staircase gun going off. And actually at that moment, Tom is in the background with his gun taking someone out. So that's just in the background, but that's got to work at the same time as ours.
Right.
So yeah, it takes a long, long time. And we did do it about 18 times, and it did run in a wanna. And I was really excited about seeing it. And when I was flying home from finishing season 2, I was in the airport and I'm wheeling my bag through airport. And Jonathan Troppo calls me. He says, hey, Key, I'm just calling. I'm in the edit. And I'm just calling to tell you that I've got to break up you going into the Feng Hai headquarters. Oh. And I said, why? And he said, because you look like John Wick. And I was like, that's the whole fucking point.
We're talking first John Wick movie?
Yeah, the first John Wick movie.
One?
Not the fourth one.
Not
the first one. Yeah. I mean, it was a funny discussion because we discussed many times, why is Big Bill called Big Bill? And there's lots of answers to that, of course.
I know what mine is.
And it was just like, well, maybe it's like he's like William Mundy in Unforgiven, and he's really good in a gunfight, and it just feels terrifying because he somehow gets out of situations because he's good in those milliseconds of a gunfight. Anyway, JT was like, no. You look too proficient, you look too good, you look like you would definitely shoot Lee. It's too sort of superhero. And I was like, everyone else gets to look like a superhero. just give me my moment. It's one moment for me. I know that you want me to go through the stuff that Bill goes through, and I am so grateful for that, because you know, the kind of mess that Bill is was the favorite thing about the character for me. It's why I grew the beard. It's what, and I fought for the beard because they wanted me to be clean shaven at the beginning. Maybe
what? No.
With a big hat. No, I know. And I Tom was there, and I was like, listen, I don't want to be clean shaven next to him. Look how pretty this guy is. He looks like a fucking action man.
Big Bill is an inspiration.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you see guys with awesome beards like that, you know, it's just like,
I got to get to that point.
I got to get
Good
that.
beard.
I got to get there. It's
beard goals.
Beard goals.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's when I first auditioned for the character, Kate Rhodes James, who's a brilliant casting director, got me in, and they'd been looking for a while, I think, for Bill. And my memory is, and I might be wrong, but my memory is that he was supposed to be about a foot taller than me, and a lot older than me, and I had to look bigger. Now at the time, I'd been recovering because I broke my back in a surfing accident.
Oh,
wow.
I snapped myself in half, and so I have a metal spine, and I was doing a lot of yoga, and so I think I wore like a big cardigan for the audition.
Do you wear that robe?
Yeah,
I wear the robe. Yeah, the growing of the beard was like I mean, it's a sort of theatrical device, really. It serves many things. It makes me look bigger, wider, and then also you can look a mess or you can look trim. It's a tool, really.
Yeah,
it really is.
And I saw Mark Rylance do this play called Jerusalem on stage here, and Mark Rylance is quite a small guy. He's tiny, and he looked 10 feet tall. on stage, and it's just all physicality. And I was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can sell our job is to sell an illusion, and that's it. So they were like, I don't know. There was somebody said, "Oh, if you've got your hat, a bowler hat, and you've got a beard, we won't see your face, and we won't feel your expression." And I was like, "It is the opposite. I promise you. I'll show you. Please, 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 let me have the beard." And the guys were amazing. Jonathan and everybody I've never worked on a job where they're so collaborative and care so much about what you think and care so much about you coming to work and being fulfilled and satisfied. So they went for it, and I did keep thinking they were even when like I got to the end and we were doing ADR, I thought they're gonna say, "Can you revoice him? Can you change the accent?" Just because
you're so polite and nice about it. I feel like Big Bill would have been like, "Fuck you, I'm keeping the beard."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he would, but that's not what it's like in our. It's not what it's like at work a lot. You know, you sometimes go to work and you can have creative ideas, and that bumps up against things. And I've been on jobs before where I wanted to do that, and they've said no, absolutely not. And frankly, it was the wrong decision. And I nearly didn't have a beard on. Jumping ahead, I nearly didn't have a beard on House of Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they all had a debate about that, and they were like, "Absolutely not. He is keeping the beard." And I was like, and at that time, I was like, "Thank fuck," because season 4 of Warrior might happen. And
Oh, that is my next question.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
season.
I know. Well, don't
Can't do it.
Wait. Season 4 might have happened. And it would have happened at the same, possibly have happened at the same time as House of Dragon.
God, I was so excited. Well, season 3 ended.
I was thinking I'm never going to be able to do House of Dragon because they're going to clash.
Got you. Okay.
But if I have a beard, maybe I can do both.
Okay, and, just
so
really quick, one more time while we're talking about beards. Do you have any beard growing tips for your fellow beardies out there? You know,
man, do you know what? I'd love to give you some wisdom, but I just eat food and my hair grows fucking fast. And
any special oils? Any supplements you want to take?
Just
any
lotion?
No,
just natural.
You know, to quote Bill Burr, I probably should because I'm ashy. You know, I probably do need to use more beard oil on it. And when on Warrior, certainly when I'm on a job, you know, the makeup artists just look after you so much. They really do.
So season 3 of Warrior ended with so much unfinished business. My question was, what would you have liked to have happened in a season 4 if we had gotten one?
What would I have liked to have happened in season 4?
You can give me the Cliff Notes.
Well, look, season 3 ended obviously on a happy note. I actually got to smile and laugh from like a genuine place. Not only a genuine place, but like a gloating place as Bill. It's like a disbelief of, like, he gambles and he's lost so many times. You know, he's such a gambler, like going and beating the crap out of going and getting the kids out of the prison and beating the crap out of the police chief is a very bad bet. That is a very bad gamble. He cannot stop gambling. So darkness. It's too light. It's too light. There used to be a comic show here where they did a sketch of these two guys in World War I films who'd say, you know, "What are you going to do when you get home?" And he goes, "Oh, I'll go and kiss my wife." And then they'd say, "Oh, he's going to die," you know, dead. It's just too cheesy and too romantic and sentimental. And when I was on that porch with Tom, I was like, this is great. Because it's so sentimental. And then next season, and you know, when you're watching that scene, hopefully some of you will be also rankling because you already know that I've burned a body.
There's going to be consequences for that. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
It's
true.
I burned a body. So pressure is what I'd say. Bill's trying to tell his wife he's done good. I more unraveling is what I'd say. And because he's never been in charge, that's a lot of pressure. So to have Bill operate in the political realm with Buckley and other people, you can push him in a different direction. But he's always going to get dragged down by Leary or someone else down to the sort of gutter level.
That's where he fights the strongest.
Also,
in the gutter.
Yes. And also a horse. I want to ride a horse. I said this to the guys before season 3. They're like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, but now you ride dragons.
hold
What
on.
do you need horses
Hold
for?
on. Didn't Bill teleport from town to the mansion? And we're like, where the fuck did he get that from?
That's when I'm supposed to be on a horse.
Yeah. I got you.
I was like, I go outside and I just say, I'm commandeering your horse. And then I race to Strickland's house where Leary has been hiding in a bush for 14 hours. And then I confront him.
What the fuck are you doing here? I could ask you that question.
I remember that.
Love it. Take
Good
care of
deal.
that gross brunette.
So how did you make that transition from Warrior to House of the Dragon? Like, how are you cast in your role?
Lonnie Perstier, who has filmed more episodes, he directed more episodes of Warrior than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
He also was the showrunner of the final season of Banshee for Jonathan Tropper.
Oh,
Nice.
And,
Banshee.
he also did like CGI for like Buffy and Angel, and he's got a CGI company. He's also worked for David Fincher and George Lucas, developing new CGI techniques and all sorts. So Lonnie is an incredible visual guy and a super geek, and you should probably have him on to chat. He's extremely nice guy.
I'll stalk him on Instagram.
Yeah, dude, he's amazing. The detail, and he has this talent for making everybody feel heard. So he normally comes to everybody in their individual jobs and just asks them what really matters to them. So he was joining House of Dragon. He mentioned it to us that he was joining it, and we all got quite excited that there might be something there. And he sort of intimated there may be something in the script, but he didn't tell me anything about what it was. So eventually I had an audition with the casting director, Kate Rhodes James, who cast me as Bill in Warrior. She is the casting director for House of Dragon. And I didn't know what it was, because no one had said anything. So the casting sites came through and it just said HH on it. So it didn't take me long to Google and work out who it was. And the signs are, sides are all redacted for these big jobs. You have to sign your life away to get them, and promise you won't tell your mum. And then I had this intense audition with Kate Rhodes James, who I know really, really well. I've been doing this 20 odd years, so I've auditioned for her many times. Lonnie, and then Ryan, the showrunner. And it was really, really intense because I know Lonnie really, really well. And it's horrible, actually, auditioning for a friend like that.
Yeah.
Because I think the pressure I had on me was like, Lonnie is always enthusiastic. He's almost like disarmingly enthusiastic when you first meet him. Except when you spend a bit more time with him, you realize he really means everything. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh God, I've got to make sure that I don't let him down.
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of vouching for me by getting me in here. But then if Kate doesn't think that you're right for something, she's not going to get you in either. It's not easy to get these jobs. And so I honestly didn't think I was going to get it. I was really stressed, probably more so than normal. I've auditioned for other friends too and not got the jobs.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
I bet.
How dare you not cast me?
I could tell you a job that I didn't get, and I can't. Okay, I'll just tell you. It was C, and I didn't get it, and I'm still heartbroken.
What character?
Oh look, I can't compare.
It was David Hewlett's character.
I'm joking. I'm not going to tell you who it was.
Or was it Jason Momoa's character? Was it Baba Voss?
It was Baba Voss, wasn't it?
It was Baba Voss. Look at this.
But I did. But I did do an audition with Jason once for a major superhero character. And I was dressed as a major superhero character, and he was dressed as a major superhero character,
Aquaman.
And neither of us did the job. There is a tape that involves me and Jason playing superheroes.
I gotta see that.
I don't know what NDA I signed for that, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say any of that.
Was the character? Was it my best friend Dean Jagger? Stole it away from you.
Actually, I did have a question about Dean because you guys both have officially now worked in the Game of Thrones franchise. I've recently rewatched entire 8 seasons of the original Game of Thrones show just over the past couple of weeks. I've just been burning through episode by episode. While I'm cooking, I'll put it on in the background and I'll be watching it. And I noticed that Dean was in the Battle of the Bastards, which is one of the coolest battle scenes of the entire franchise. And him as Lord Umber, who's going up against Jon Snow, and it's a very epic scene. He's fighting Tormund Giantsbane, all this stuff. And I'm looking at Hugh the Hammer, and I'm like, okay, is Kieran going to have a one-up on Dean Jagger for the best battle scene in Game of Thrones?
Well, he's got a dragon. What do you mean?
You've got a
dragon
You've got a fucking dragon, bro. What are you going to do with it? We haven't seen him ride it yet. We haven't seen him ride it yet.
I know that Dean does a good job. And I know he's got his nice Wakefield accent, nice and thick, and he sounds all scary, and he's throwing the wolf head. And he's all obstinate in the right way, and I get it. But he can't. He can't compete.
Are you offended that Alex even asked you that?
I can't even believe you would ask that. Like, I have the,
Dude,
I,
this is.
listen. The episode
just take
is
your
out,
headphones
man.
off
I have
and
the
throw them across the
second
room.
biggest dragon.
Yeah.
I have the second biggest dragon in the show.
Yeah.
I have the most in his prime dragon. So I don't know what.
This
What's
is-
this
You
I
have
don't
the
even know. What's
sassiest
Dean's
one.
what was Dean's character called again?
Lord Umber.
Yeah.
Great John number.
Lord-
I watched the show. I rewatched Game of Thrones while I was
He
shooting House
gets
of
the
Dragon.
fly
Dean is
vermithor.
fucking brilliant in that show.
Yeah. Lord Umber's scary as fuck. I think Lord Umber could probably take Ramsay for sure. Ramsay Bolton. Because he's just like, he's tough, but only because he has the backing of his daddy. And then as soon as that goes away, he's got nothing.
Just because he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
I mean, Dean's a huge, formidable monster.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you read House of the Dragon before taking the role, just
Fire
for
and
research or whatever?
You mean Fire or Blood?
Yeah, Fire and Blood.
I did. I mean, I always do loads of research. I'm a complete geek. Like when I joined Warrior, I bought loads of different books on the history of San Francisco and started reading.
Nice.
And not only that, my wife is a very good researcher, and she found me this crazily specific book, which is like the Irish in San Francisco from like 1740 to 1813. And it's all statistics about the Irish community. It's the most boring book. But, and I was like, I'm not sure I need to go into this kind of detail, but I did look at it and read it, and I did that for House of Dragon. But and it was really helpful because you find out about the history, about where people come from, how it all started, and that does sort of matter. So much so that I did that, and I'd watched House of Dragon season 1, and I'm filming House of Dragon season 2, and I started rewatching Game of Thrones, and I was like, why are the Lannisters on the throne? Like it felt really weird. Game of Thrones felt wrong. It felt like, oh God, where are all the Targaryens?
Right.
It actually. I really enjoyed it, and there was loads more detail that had gone way over my head that I didn't pick up on. And I guess you guys are book readers, but for me,
That'd be
like,
me.
Yeah, Jude is.
yeah, I loved it, and I know people have certain issues with the last seasons of Game of Thrones, and on my rewatch, I was like, I couldn't give a shit. I was enjoying it so much. Probably because I knew I was about to film me,
I wanted to ask you in terms of like the book stuff, because your character in the books, a little bit nondescript, but in the second season, like they actually gave some backstory with like a direct tie to like the Iron
Sarah
Throne.
Targaryen.
Yeah. Like I was actually like really surprised that they added that detail to your character. Were you as surprised at that? Like, I don't know if like you were aware that like the book Hugh Hammer was just kind of like, a little bit less fleshed out, but I thought that was a great addition to your character in the show.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad you liked it. I mean, I read the book, but I had the sides from my audition. I had the pages from some of the scripts, and I had the speech where I'm talking about my mom, and I was extremely excited, and I sort of asked Ryan about it, and he was very sort of excited and kind of coy about it, about who my mum is. So like, yeah, she's in the book.
Did you when afterwards?
Like, enjoy.
Afterwards, did you go back and read the whole Sarah Targaryen part of the book? Like, oh, it's my mom.
I did, because the penny didn't drop, and then I was
Right.
like, and when I was looking at it, I was like, I felt so excited.
Yeah.
Because it made perfect sense to me, and I was aware. You know, I am aware of the discrepancies. I'm aware of the three sons of hers who allegedly make their claim. I'm aware of her age and the time she was sent places, and when I as a character may have been born or whatnot, on how I am estranged from her, and all those sort of things. Like, I think what I really like about how people scrutinize when we watch is that's what we do at work. I do that at work. We're kind of like annoying logic police, and
Love that.
it can sometimes be really really painful for writers and productions, where sometimes you're going to just have to fucking ignore that for now.
Yeah.
And I don't like to ignore anything because I care about it, and I'm concerned that it's going to trip us up. But in terms of finding out Sarah Targaryen, reading about her history, reading about the reaction from her father, my grandfather, and then me claiming Vermithor, I was like, it makes perfect sense. And not only that, like, to not want to live under the shadow or with the stigma of whatever reputation my mother has, and that being a point of shame for him, resentment, or at least conflict.
Yeah.
You know, there's conflict there of, I love her, I also fucking hate her. Like, I am conflicted, and I'm not part of this aristocracy. I'm not part of this thing. I don't have anything, but you know, he's been angry a long time.
Yeah, I think that was one of the best changes that they made from the book to the show, and it gave your character so much more depth. And I think a lot of us book nerds went, "Oh shit, that's good."
Yeah. Before I forget,
I'm so glad.
I need to bring something up, because you were talking about how, like, you're in depth in these characters, and you're kind of the logic police, and the writers have to make certain adjustments in order to fit budget or time or whatever.
Yeah.
There was one thing, and you can tell me to pound rocks if this question is out of turn, but there was one thing that really bothered me, and I might have been a little bit biased because I've known you and I've watched you from Warrior, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see Kieran on screen. But there was a motivational writing choice for Hugh the Hammer, where in the early part of the season you see him nursing his ill daughter, and the big switch for him to go from being loyal to Aegon Targaryen on the green side to switching to Rhaenyra on the black side was the death of his daughter, but we didn't get to see it. What was there something filmed? Was there a reason why it wasn't put in there for Hugh the Hammer?
No, I mean, you know, right. Well, look, so to start off with, you've made an assumption.
Okay.
So you're wrong.
The daughter's alive. God damn it.
Okay.
I've hidden her in my jacket. Is why do you think he's loyal to Aegon?
That's a great question. He was in the service of him as the crown's blacksmith, and
That's a job.
Yeah, they were promised.
You're using the wrong word when you use the word loyal.
Okay, all right.
Aegon is a new king. Aegon is a dictator. Aegon is a scary member of the family. He has a reputation for being impetuous and doing questionable things. He has been put on the throne, and there's a desperate situation arising, and Hugh has come in to petition a person who has been untested. And that's it. He's asking for something, and this is a scary person, I think. So again, why do you think he's loyal to him?
I guess I just made the assumption that he was in King's Landing. He worked for King Aegon, and he was in the service of them. And then when this tragedy befell him, that's when he dipped out and switched sides.
But again, I'm not saying what Hugh's allegiance is one way or the other. But all the people that are living in that city, if they had to say who their allegiance was, they're speaking under duress.
Okay.
So I would say, unless you're having a duologue where a person is safely allowed to reveal their truth in a public arena in front of a dictator, they're always going to say that they support the dictator. Not that he does that. He's petitioning the powerhouse, and he's working within the structure. It's one of the reasons why, or the justifications why I found for Hugh not listening to his wife and doing the sensible thing. He thinks his job is vital. He thinks he's part of the look. I'm part of the line of defenses against the dragons. He needs me. If he's going to pay anyone, he's going to look after anyone. It's the people who put the spikes towards the dragons.
Right.
So he thinks his job is safe. And but yes, the switching sides thing again. It's I don't know if he's made that decision. I don't know if he is for Aegon or for Rhaenyra at that point, but he is going where the opportunity leads him.
You know, one of my favorite scenes in House of Dragon season 2 is actually like your character in Ulf the White after you guys become dragon riders, and you're kind of like you're kind of like the straight guy, and he's kind of like the comedian, where he's just kind of like flaunting like his newfound fortune. Are you guys going to have like, you know, a lot more scenes together, you and that actor?
Tom Bennett is an absolute dream, and I'm so glad he got cast. So we're basically double act. He's my new Tom.
New work wife.
Nice.
And it's very like being at work with Tom. Tom Bennett has 3 kids, and we're the same age, and we just meet up every day and go, "Can't believe it, you got a dragon." Yeah, I've got a dragon as well. Oh, that's nice. Should we get a cup of tea? Our dragons. We feel so lucky to be part of this massive carnival, and I can only assume that we are going to have more scenes because we sort of paired in the books, and we are paired in that dynamic of straight man. But you know, that's the other thing about that dynamic. In a good cop, bad cop routine, you know, the good cop makes space for the bad cop, and the bad cop makes space for the good cop. So Hugh is able to hide behind formality or use formality and knows what the formality should be. And Ulf couldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So while he's acting the goat, I'm listening. And while I'm being formal, he's acting up, and that serves all things. So we can go in any direction is what I think. And I'm excited about that. I like that. You know, I like that that's the dynamic they've chosen. I guess it could have been different. We could have come in, but the writers gave us that dynamic on the page. And as you play the scenes, you find the sort of truth of the person who's standing there. And you're standing there with the Queen and the Prince, and you think, what am I doing here? You know, what is he doing? Why is he being so polite? You know? Just because someone appears to be being polite doesn't mean if there is a formal structure, that's great. That's a mask, you know.
Yeah.
One thing I love about playing Bill in Warrior is Bill always has a mask. Like I said, Bill's always got a lie. He's always got a lie for you because he's an addict. He's a drunk. I mean, Jonathan would quibble. Jonathan would be like, he's absolutely not an alcoholic. He's an Irishman. He can handle his drink. And I'm like, can he? And so, but I'm always smoking, eating, thinking about gambling, or thinking about drinking, or needing the toilet as Bill, always. So that's where I sort of, yeah, exactly.
Bill's one of us.
That's what I like to have fun with. Is that that's a relatable thing, and then when you play a different character, you have to find what their thing is. So it's a very narrow road sometimes when you join a show, and you only have the little bits. And this is what I mean about that small scene with Bill smoking the cigarette and seeing his moral compass. The benefit of you seeing his moral compass is that you carry that through the show. And if you don't see that, you've already made a decision about who he is. Even if you don't see it on the first watch, even if it's a detail, you go, oh yeah, that's why I didn't think he was totally bad, you know. Those things, I think those things matter.
I got a secret text message from Ju just a second ago, and she said, "Hugh the Hammer's loyal to himself, bitch." And I was like,
I didn't say that.
I know. No, but it's like, but I think that's where that question came from with me. Is like, okay, so we know Bill's moral compass. I don't know if we haven't had enough time with Hugh, me personally, because I'm not a book reader, so I'm not familiar with this character to find out like, okay, where does his loyalties lie? Why did he make that switch? Is the opportunity, was what you said, is like Hugh the Hammer found the opportunity to raise himself, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go for that.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, but I was.
Yeah.
It's not so much a switch of loyalty. Sorry, I
Mm.
didn't mean to say you were wrong. I was being silly. What I mean is,
So first of all, fuck you.
That was my favorite question. It's like, no, you're wrong. I mean, Jonathan Tropper, to your credit too, Jonathan Tropper said the exact same thing to us when we talked to him about was it somebody in C? Who was it that we talked to? We were like, so what's wrong with
Jonathan is so funny.
He's hilarious.
He is hilarious. I once had dinner with him, and I thought I'm going to suggest an idea of some characters who live in Chinatown on Warrior, and I did, and he went, boring.
Well, you know, it's funny is when we had Jonathan on the show, Dutch over here basically said, hey, in the season 2 finale, why didn't you just have them push the rock into the lake?
Like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, Jonathan was like, we never really thought of it that way.
But way easier.
I love it. Is he going to let you in the writers' room?
I wish. That'd be
Sounds
fun.
like he needs to vet things.
That'd be fun. Yeah. My last serious question for you. The rest of my questions that I have are super silly and goofy. But there's one more that I had about the filming of the scene with the Bronze Fury and your standout scene in season 2 where you're going up against the dragon and you're shouting at this and there's flames all over the place. It's an amazing scene. We praise the hell out of it on our podcast about how like the sound design was there. Everything was epic. Mm-hmm. What was it like staring at a tennis ball, yelling at it?
That's your serious?
That's my serious question.
I love that. It was one of the best days filming I've ever had.
Nice.
It was so incredible. There's a lot of people involved doing something like that, and it was written in the script that Hugh says, hey, here I am, I'm ready, come on, and I think there was a suggestion that it was sort of like tentatively done, like you're trying to calm the beast and sort of, come on. And I just said to Lonnie, can I scream at it? Because there's so much adrenaline going on, and it's not the most intellectual of choices to just scream at something, but it was the most genuine and real thing I could imagine for that moment. I did a lot. I did it a lot, and I wrecked my voice, and it was worth every minute of it because I've played hero characters before, or supposedly sort of hero journeys where the payoff doesn't happen, where that you don't kill the beast and it doesn't work, and you have to have the crescendo to the it has to be exciting, and so this whole sequence it made sense to me. If he's gonna die, he's gonna die screaming. If this dragon is gonna burn him like it does Silver Denny's, it's gonna shoot that liquid oily flame thing at him, then he's gonna scream in its face. Because he's at the end of his tether, really, and ultimately that's who he is. Who he's been isn't who he is. He's been living something else.
That was trying
to be good.
That was such a smart decision, because if you look at the first guy who goes up against a Vermithor, right? Vermithor. He's tentative. He's trying to like tame it and calm it, and it burns him for it. Whereas Hugh the Hammer comes in screaming at it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's almost like a respect thing. We're like, okay, you're not afraid of me.
Strength.
There's a strength. Yeah, strength respects strength. So I think that was a brilliant decision. If that's how you approached it, that's very, very smart.
When we shot the scene, and I was listening to Emma do the dialogue and pronounce Vermithor, Vermitus, which I love. The whole thing was sort of magical and kind of insane, and it takes days and days to film a sequence like that. And Sylvia Dennis walks up past Hugh. We've all escaped the city through a series of tunnels and secrecy. Somehow with a lockdown city, we've actually managed to sneak out and get down to the water, the boats that have been laid on for us, get across to Dragonstone, and then get to this point. And when the dragon comes out, Hugh hesitates and someone else walks forward. Now, if he claims that dragon, how many more dragons are left?
Right.
And that's how I looked at it. Like, this is a lottery, and I feel like as soon as he burns, there's a shot where I look back at it and I wanted to make sure that Hugh was standing, looking back at the dragon, because I was like, he has come. He is the person who has courage, but he does make a mistake at the beginning by letting somebody else go first, because it's an opportunity that he you know. And when I end up downstairs, hiding behind a rock, and there's someone else there, you know, she ends up in front of the dragon again. And as much as he's saving her, he's also saying, "Hey, that's my lottery ticket."
Yeah.
You know, I'm fucking Bluetooth to my dragon.
You win or you die with the lottery.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good deal.
I mean, look, so the blue thing is funny. There's two guys holding a big blue head with tennis balls sticking out there.
I knew it.
We came back from lunch. Yeah, I posted a picture on my Instagram of it. It was so brilliant. And at the sort of blue poles with the tennis balls on. And there was a tiny little teacup Yorkshire Terrier dog running around, which was the designer's, called Mabel or something. And she was trying to steal the tennis ball eye. Like, this is dog, this is mine now. And I went over to this little dog, and I did that normal thing you do where you put your hand, you know, you put your hand palm up and let the dog sniff your hand, or smell hand, you know, "Hey, how you doing? I'm a friend." And I was like, "Brilliant. Thanks for that, Mabel, because I'm about to film the scene and I'm going to do smell hand with Vermithor."
Nice.
And it did feel like that. It felt, you know, it's funny when you're at work and the stuff that you think about and you care
life.
about.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, or the things you care about, and you think afterwards. You know, there was a day on set where Lonnie and I were discussing something. I think it was when I did the monologue about my mum and about how intense it should be, because obviously the death of my daughter being off screen, the kind of real grief of that, or the horror of that, and then the finding Kat and Hugh almost like an exhausted point of discussion, really. So that's quite a hard place to come in at on a scene and sell the scene. You're not seeing any of that other stuff. To convey that was tricky, and we were talking about how intense it should be. And I know there's a moment where we were discussing it and getting all excited, and I was like, I mean, he's basically he is the dragon. Lonnie's like, "Yeah, you're the dragon." I was like, "I am the dragon. I'm the dragon." like 5-year-old boys just like talking about dragons. Sarah Hess came. I was like, "Hey guys," and we were like, "Hey, we're just talking about the dragon." She's like, "Oh no, I get it."
It's awesome.
It's great. It's just.
I'm gonna let Jude take it home with the now infamous Marry Fuck Kill game.
Well, I have one more question.
Oh,
and then
okay.
we can play Marry Fuck
Okay,
Kill.
all right, take it away.
Do you hope that your real life children become dragon riders?
Oh my God, I don't think I'm going to be able to stop them. My son thinks that it is a viable profession now to just go to work and dress as a knight and feed dragons all day. And I spoiled him rotten because he was 2 and I had to go for a fitting, and I had to take him. He'd broken his foot. He's 2 years old. He'd broken his foot.
Aww.
And he came to work, and the guys at work spoiled him. They found him a helmet and made him a sword, and he got to have a look at the armory. He got to fire Baylor's crossbow bolt across the armory.
Oh man,
nice.
That's cool.
So yeah, he's a bit of a maniac. He loves, as kids do, loves dressing up in David Bowie, but he genuinely thinks that I have a dragon. And he's told, I mean, I had to stop him telling everybody because he was just like, "Daddy's dragon's called Vermithor." And I was like, you signed an NDA, man. Don't tell anybody that.
All right. Are you ready for the game?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Marry,
I'm a
fuck,
bit
kill.
scared.
You can answer this as yourself or Big
I'm
Bill
married.
or
Okay.
Hugh.
Hugh Hammer. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Marry, fuck, kill. Big Dick Lee, Vermithor, or Ulf the White?
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm gonna marry Lee.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm gonna fuck Vermithor. Because
Yeah. Why wouldn't
that
you?
would be, I mean, powerful, angry dragon. and I'm gonna kill Ulf the White.
I love
because,
it.
I have a good sense of
I
humor
think
about
you
it.
answered that correctly.
That was so logical. I loved it. That was good.
No hesitation.
No hesitation at all.
I think you and Lee would be very happy together.
We would be very happy. We joked about that many times. We are the Fred and Ernie in bed of Warrior.
Nice.
Oh, and in fact, when Lucy left, there was a whole discussion about that Lee was going to move into the house. And don't I come
I
home and he's
feel
doing
like
the
I
dishes?
needed to
Yeah,
do
yeah. Oh, I remember. Yeah, there was a scene where they were talking about that, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, well, I come home and then
I
it's
had
the
my-
scene where I'm
I had my
drunk,
own
yeah.
head canon about what was going on in
For sure.
that house.
For sure. Yeah. Good deal. All right, Kieran, I know it's late for you and you've already given us over an hour of your time. Thank you so much, really, for
It's a
small
pleasure.
channels like us to hang out and chat with people that we
Hey.
watch on the big screen. It's
I
amazing.
think you guys are hilarious. And,
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
really
So much.
sorry that you've suffered a stupid break-in. I heard about that.
Oh gosh.
And,
3.
Just a delay.
3 now.
and I got to say as well, I know you're a fan of Outlander,
Mm.
having seen your travels and your short film that you made.
Yes.
So I was quite excited when I got cast in Outlander, which I've filmed.
Nice.
Season 8 of Outlander, which
Wow.
I don't know when
Fantastic.
that's
That's
come out.
amazing.
Have you
we'll
by
have you
ch-
back after
Yeah.
that.
Have you by chance met my friend Charlie Allen or anybody from Combat International? I think they worked on season 8 as well. I'm not sure in what capacity though.
Would it be a spoiler if I said I had?
Okay. No, well, no, not a spoiler, but it's just good to know for me. We'll talk about it another time. But yeah, my wife is a huge Outlander fan, and we interviewed Charlie for Norseman,
Yeah.
which is a show on Netflix that we absolutely adore. And and he had worked on that, and he had done the combat with Kota Conradi and those guys, and I've just became friends with them over the past couple of years. And he invited me out to come and visit, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take you up on that, because how often does that happen? And he gave us the full red carpet treatment, man. It was really amazing. Everybody in Scotland was so hospitable and just incredibly kind. And I there was not a single bad experience I had the entire time traveling most of that
What
country.
I love about Scotland now is that when you go to any historical place, there's a plaque, an Outlander plaque, that
Yes,
tells you
yeah,
which episode was filmed there.
No,
You can stop at a service station, it'll be like, the trailer stopped on their way to film, and somebody used the toilet.
Yeah.
Like, they're everywhere.
It is.
But they're very proud of it. It's done an incredible thing for Scotland.
Yeah.
And the guys there are really, really wonderful. And
Yeah.
So yeah. Can I ask you a question,
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
guys, while you're all there? Where does your name come from? The Salty Nerd Podcast.
Oh, that's a loaded question, bro. So in 2017 or 2016 or something like that,
When the Last Jedi came out.
whenever the Last Jedi came out, and as a group, we all kind of lambasted that whole movie because we were like, dude, that's not Luke Skywalker. I'm
Right.
sorry. There is no press or no paid for advertisement that you're going to be able to shove down my throat to tell me that that's actually Luke. And it became this thing. And then the backlash from that, from the inner workings of Lucasfilm. And if you ever worked for Lucasfilm, I'm sorry in advance, but they just didn't take it well. And
I
they
didn't say I was working.
I'm glad. I'm glad. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad you're not. They started throwing around a lot of derogatory terms and names. And I
Yeah.
decided to just own it one time, where in a derogatory way, they were like, oh, these guys are just a bunch of salty nerds. And I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah,
That's
you're
great.
goddamn
That's
right I
great.
am. So that's kind of what started. And then we started hanging out and we started talking about the movies that we love and
Yeah.
the movies that we love to hate.
We started
as
hanging out
well.
in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
really good nerd discussions every
Yeah.
morning.
And then
Every Monday morning, and we go, this should be a podcast. And Salty Nerd Podcast was
it
born.
became a thing.
So-
Yeah. And then we started talking about the shows that we love and the fact that even though like for example, is a perfect example of how, yeah, we watch the shit out of that thing and we make fun of it endlessly. But at the end of the day, if they come out with another season, we're going to watch
We're
the
gonna watch the
we're
shit
gonna
out of
watch
it,
the
yeah.
shit out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
Yeah.
and there's this mentality out there where if you criticize something or if you make fun of something, it means you must hate it and it means you must be toxic and terrible. And it's like, no, it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Part of the fun is
Yeah.
making fun of something that's a little goofy and a little ridiculous, but we're still going to line up to watch it. We're still going to buy the streaming service and watch this new season or whatever. And it became just what we love to do. And that's kind of where the name came from.
Yep.
I love it.
Cool.
Good. It's got nothing to do with salty sea dogs and pirates then.
Not at all.
It's-
Not even a little bit. Somebody asked me if I was in the Navy one time, and I was like, no, dude, that's not it.
I think that's great that you took it from that. Yeah.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate that, man.
Mhm.
Kieran, thank you so much. If there's anything that you would like to shout out, I know you talked about Outlander already. You're talking about season 3 of House of the Dragons. Is there anything else that you're working on that you would like to let people know about?
I made a short film about crying with a wonderful director called
I watched it.
Who he's brilliant visual lad. We did it really quickly over a couple of days.
Nice.
And the script was really excellent, which is why I really wanted to join them. And that's on the internet, so have a look at that if you're interested.
I did watch it. It was like a Rube Goldberg's machine of a movie. Everything was like it was almost like a one shot, but I knew it wasn't. It was like very clever editing, very well done.
He is very, very clever and using techniques I've never seen before. I couldn't believe how quickly we shot it.
Nice.
But no, apart from that, I'll be back on House of Dragons soon.
Nice.
Looking forward to that.
All right.
Thanks,
Dutch,
guys. I love your podcast.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for watching the show. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're new here. We will be covering House of the Dragons and a bunch of other movies. Right now, we're in the middle of Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
And we're going to be releasing that show episode by episode for the first season, which is an absolutely wonderful show. We have a hard time making fun of it because it's so goddamn good.
Oh,
so,
we're not making fun of it at all.
Yeah, I know. No, we're just straight up talking about it.
This is a great show.
This is a great show.
Ready.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Stay salty.